Hi guys, it's a quick video from my home. I've been a bit laid up a few days here. I've been quite ill. Not COVID, thankfully, just some kind of a bug. But while I was ill, a lovely fella from Fjuka called Tom got in contact with me about a video I done a while ago explaining about how you use Fjuka bait and the review I've had of it and what have you. And he was kind enough to send me some of the new products to try, see how I get on with and stuff like that. And thank you very much. I mean, I'm under no obligation to give it praise or anything like that, but I'm more than happy to accept what they've sent, and it is fantastic what he sent me in bed. I'll give him that. And what is in the box he's sent me here, I've got your obligatory neons, pink neons, yellow, orange, white, all of them there. So we've got loads of neons. And then on top of that, there are bags, and ooh, don't you fall off. There we go. Bags and bags of the new Fat Boys, as they call them, which are basically, they are a 10mm pellet. There's the micros as well, so there's the white micros. So I've got all the sizes. I've got the 5mm, the 10mm, and the micros. And the micros are basically a 3mm micro. You can hook them, use a small fine wide hook. You can use these on the hook, no problem at all. Loads of packs of them, so I've got what, 3, 1, 2, I'm just going to go through them, 3, 4, 5, right, so I've got 3 packs of Fat Boys, 5 packs of normal size, and 3 packs of micros, and 4 tubes of neons. And like I say, I'm more than delighted with what they've sent me. I really am. I can't thank them enough for this. But to give you an idea again, the Fat Boys I have used, I was lucky enough to get a pack of the red Fat Boys when they first hit the shops a couple of weeks ago, and a family sort of member came down, young lad who's never fished before. He's never even held a rod in his hand before, and he asked if he could come fishing with us. So I took him to a local lake and I set him up on the waggler. Simple waggler tactics, fishing, I'm going to say probably no more than 15 foot out, and it was fairly deep. We were fishing in 7 foot depth of water with a lightish waggler. I had to put it fairly heavy, but lightish. It was about a 1.5 BB waggler, and on the bottom we were using the Fjuka. We started off using the pink neons, which is what I've got here. This is what was left in my tub. Again, just because some of you may not have seen the other video, I'll give you a small show. That is a Fjuka neon, right? Just looks like a normal pellet, soft pellet. But these, they're more of a, almost like a plasticine texture, like I said. And whatever you do with it can affect how it is in the water. So if you flatten it off, squash it down like that, and make it literally like a flat piece, if you see that, that'll flutter and flow, go down the water layers very slow, and it flutters down. Great if you want to catch them on the drop, if they're not on the bottom. Brilliant. The other thing, like say, you can do with them is you can roll them. And you can do all this with the same one. I'm just using different ones up. Make it into like a worm or a maggot shape and hook it on like that. Maybe if you're throwing in 5 or 6 maggots all the time, you're going to get them to take that as it drops down through the water, or even if it's on the bottom, using that. And then, of course, the other thing you can do is take 2, 3, more of them if you want, and make different size ones and mould them together, like so. Just mould them with your fingers and make it a big one. Make it a bigger bait, you know. And if you like, say, if you've got different colours, mould them together, make a real wacky looking coloured thing. Make it into a boilie shaped ball and put it on with a push stop if you wish. Put it onto a hair. Brilliant, brilliant, love it. I tend to generally just put these straight on the hook. Sometimes I'll put them onto a push stop if I think the bites are a little bit more finicky. But I tend straight on the hook, using an ample sized hook. I mean, with these ones here, believe it or not, I started off on the size 16s, didn't handle them great, so I went up to 14s, and perfect, absolutely perfect. And the lad who I took fishing caught more than his fair share of carp. There was about 6 people on the lake altogether, struggling. He had I think 2 small roach and a rudd on the first few casts, and that was with the small Fjukas, the little normal size 5mm. Then we went on to the neons, because of course they're bigger. And when we went on to these neons, I mean, these are, well, they've got to be a 6mm. These things, they've got to be 6mm, maybe even an 8. They started picking off the carp. That was it. And we didn't touch the roach, we didn't touch the rudd again, just the carp. And he had, I think he ended up with about 8 or 9 carp. Most of them half a pound to a pound, but then he had a few of them at 2 and 3 pound, and then he had 2 cracking fish towards the end there. One of them definitely 4 or 5 pound, you know, and he was over the moon with that. At one stage, I even left him with the rod while I took a phone call, and while I was on the phone call, all I could hear was the clutch tearing off on this rod, and he'd struck into one, and fair dues to him, he'd actually flicked the rod in himself, struck into this fish. He was playing it himself, trying to figure out how to reel and use the drag at the same time so that he could actually gain line on the fish, and he did it. All I did was turn up and land it for him, and that was one of his bigger fish, so fair dues. Maybe he's a natural in the making, but he's loved it. He wants to go again. Hopefully I'll be able to put the pictures up to show you what he caught at the end of this vid, just to show you the carp that he had, and they were all on Fjuka. That's not me making up a story or anything like that. That is the God's honest truth. And it was before I got any of this through as well. It was just, I know it works there, so that's what we put him on. On top of that, I've used the yellow neons on a bream water that I go on, and they are brilliant. They will outfish maggot, they will outfish corn. I don't know what it is about them, but that's what the bream like. And I've used them on the waggler, on the pellet feeder, on the method feeder, and on the cage feeder. And I tell you what, when you sprinkle some of these micros and what have you into the cage feeders and that, you get such a lovely colourful bed of bait on the floor. I'm sure the fish hone in on that, as well as the smell of that sensate, which to me is garlic. You know, I really do. I reckon they home in on it. They see all these weird vivid colours, like, and they just pick things through it. And there's yours sitting in the middle of it. You know, it is a wonderful, wonderful bait. So yeah, I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a pick up on all these lovely goodies that I'm going to be using as soon as I can. Hopefully I'll get out again next weekend. I can't this weekend, like I say. I'm still recovering a bit from a bit of illness, so I don't really want to go and give it to anyone else at any matches or anything like that, so I'll back off for a while. But yeah, hopefully on the bank, use some of this up, especially these fat boys. I'm going to use them because I've had results on them before, but not all these different colours, and I'm going to see how they work. I'm going to try these fat boys on that bream lake, see if I can either pick out the bigger bream, or there's a lot of good carp in there. And whenever I've waggler fished for the bream in there, I've never touched a carp, never. So, fingers crossed, I might manage to pick up one of them. I'll be geared for it. So anyway, tight lines, and I'll see you on the bank.